understand that you're still in the room.
Yes, I do.
All right. You may continue.
Thank you, Honor. I think we left off right before the break. I had asked you to please take a look at what's in evidence as State's Exhibit 425. Do you have that there in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, can you go ahead and open it, please? Okay, now State's Exhibit 425, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you testified earlier that you did take a reference sample from the toothbrush that was a personal effect of Carly Scott. Is that correct?
Yes, so a sample was taken from the toothbrush to be used as a reference sample.
And is that the toothbrush you took the reference sample from?
Yes, it is.
Now, before you received that toothbrush, was it sealed in the envelope and you just removed it from?
Yes, it was.
And prior to unsealing, well, did you have to unseal it to remove the toothbrush?
Yes, so the seals were intact.
Okay. And after taking the reference sample from the toothbrush, what did you do with it?
So after the sample was taken, it was put back in the packaging and sealed.
Now, Ms. Kashimoto, did you receive that toothbrush on the same date and time that you received the 4 swabs from the bra and the multiple swabs from the nails marked distal and proximal?
Yes, so it was received on February 24, 2014.
And after you finished, you were done taking a reference sample from the toothbrush, what did you do with it?
So it would have been sealed back into the package and then placed in our evidence vault.
And is your seal on the package?
Yes.
And just real briefly, how do you recognize it?
So I recognize the packaging. So the seal, the yellow seal, has my signature and the date. And I also have a control sticker with the information on the front.
And what did you do with that when you were done?
So after I was done, it was repackaged, sealed, and placed into the evidence vault until it was transferred to evidence custodian Ivy Lee on.
So did you transfer it yourself? I think you made that already, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
That she had transferred herself.
I think we'll need some foundation in as much as there is an objection, so I'm going to sustain the objection.
When you say this was transferred, did you transfer that item yourself to the custodian Ivy Lee?
Yes, I did.
And when did you do that?
That was on May 19th, 2014.
And is this along with what you testified earlier as these swabs from the bra and these swabs from the nails marked distal and proximal?
It was transferred on the same day.
Same day?
Yes.
And the last item in your March 3rd, 2014 report, let me refer you to what is marked as State's Exhibit 428. Okay, with respect to State's Exhibit 428, do you recognize the packaging that it's in?
Yes, I do.
And what is it that you recognize with respect to the packaging?
So in the packaging, I have my label with the HPD report number, the unique identifier, the date, and my initials. It also has my evidence tape that I placed on it with my signature and date.
And when you received that package initially, was it sealed and unopened when you received it?
Yes, it was received sealed.
Okay, and when did you receive that?
So this item was received on February 24th, 2014.
And upon receipt of that item, what did you do?
So, as I mentioned earlier, if it wasn't tested immediately, it would be placed in our evidence vault. And then once I begin the testing, I would take it out, remove the item from the packaging. Prior to that, I would start the documentation process where I'm photographing and doing written documentation of the item and its packaging.
And you testified earlier that you did, I guess, conduct DNA testing with respect to tissue from the lower right jawbone, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And is that the tissue that was marked from the lower right jawbone that you conducted the DNA testing?
So this
Or
is the
from that tissue?
So this is the item that I tested. It was described as tissue from lower right jawbone number 2.
And was it in that same container, or
Yes.
is that container that you're holding up at this point?
Yes. So this is the exact packaging that it was received in. So there's there's a jar in here that contains what's described as the tissue samples, and then there's a Ziploc baggie over that.
Was the jar, I guess, closed when you first received it, as well as the packaging seal?
Yes. So the bag as well as the container were closed.
And after you conducted the testing, what did you do?
So after the sampling is performed,
sampling.
it would be replaced back in its original packaging and sealed.
And you sealed it yourself?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with the package after you sealed it?
So after it's sealed, again, it would remain in our evidence vault. I believe this one was placed in we have a freezer within our evidence vault, so it was placed within the freezer, which is within the evidence vault.
And did you transfer that to anyone?
Yes.
And who did you transfer that to?
Evidence custodian Ivy Lee,
And what date did you do that on?
May 19th, 2014.
Okay, let me, at this point, if you can repackage everything. Okay, let me turn your attention now, Ms. Kashimoto, to the items that you took samples and conducted testing on pursuant to your September 9th, 2015 report. And may I approach and retrieve those
Yes.
other items? Thank you. First of all, let me start off with 3 items. This would be items that are state's exhibit, marked for exhibit as 289, 293, and 296. You know, may I approach with those items?
Yes.
Yeah, with respect to these particular items, can Ms. Kashimo step down and approach the table
Yes.
when she looks at these papers? Okay, so, Kashimo, you can step down
Yes.
and just approach the table. Okay, beginning with State's Exhibit 289. That's for my identification. Can you take a look at the item that's within that? Excuse me, let me just go and put this on the side. Okay, do you recognize what's the item that's in State's Exhibit 289?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's a pair of jeans, Perry Ellis brand.
Okay. And is that the pair of jeans that you, I guess, took a sample from the waistband and conducted some testing on that?
Yes, I performed testing. I have to refer to our report to
Yeah, if you can
exact.
go and get that.
Okay. Yes, I performed testing, so there's 3 samples that were tested off of these jeans.
And were, for example, you testified earlier that you took a sample from the waistband, is that correct?
That is correct.
Was that through vacuuming or swabbing?
So the sample taken from the waistband would have been the vacuuming sample.
Okay. When you first received those jeans, or first of all, when did you receive them?
So the item was received May 7th, 2014.
And did you receive any other items on May 7th, 2014 that you would have taken samples from and then conducted testing on those samples?
Yes, I did.
And yes, so maybe we can speed this up a little bit. Which other items were those?
So the other items I received were gray sweater and a black bra.
Okay. So just referring to the jeans at that point, when you received the jeans, was it in the package that you see it in?
Yes.
And how can you tell that?
So it has my label that I placed on it with the HPD case information, as well as the unique identifier and the date for my initials.
Ms. Kashimoto, had any of the seals been broken or the package open when you received it on May 7th of 2015? I'm sorry, 2014.
So the seals were intact.
And after you were able to retrieve samples from those pair of jeans, what did you do with it? What did you do with the jeans? I'm sorry.
So after sampling, the jeans would have been repackaged and placed back in the original packaging and sealed.
And did you transfer that to any person within your division or unit?
So ultimately, the jeans were transferred to evidence custodian IDV,
that transfer?
Yes, I did.
Now, going to State's Exhibit 293. Okay, with respect to State's Exhibit 293, do you recognize the packaging there?
Yes, I do.
And what is it that you recognize about the packaging?
So again, I have a label that I placed on it with the HUD case number, unique identifier, the date and my initials.
And was that package sealed when you first received it back on May 7th, 2014?
Confirming the date, sorry. Yes, it was.
Okay, now, do you recognize the content therein?
Yes,
And you testified earlier that you did take samples from, I guess, I'm not sure if you use this, what appeared to be stains on the gray sweatshirt or sweater, is that correct?
yes, so.
Is that the gray sweater that you took the samples from? And when you took those samples, Q1 through Q5, which are stains, were those swabs or were those cuttings?
Those would have been cuttings.
So you cut the stains out yourself and,
Yes,
and tested them?
yes.
And would it be reflected on the sweatshirt itself?
And you should be able to see the cuttings that I took.
Can you go ahead and remove the sweatshirt and show the cuttings that you have taken?
For instance, you can see that there was a cutting taken from this location. So,
And what are you showing us with
so
this?
this is labeled as Q2 for this item.
And you testified earlier that you would have marked it with a white sticker, is that correct?
Yes, so there is a sticker here indicating the unique identifier, the site area that I tested.
Okay, if you can go ahead and package that. And I'm going to give you another set of gloves to put on for the next item. Now, after you took the cutting samples from that gray sweater, that's in State's Exhibit 293, what did you do with it?
So there were a total of five cuttings that were taken. Those were tested. They were taken through blood testing.
And then what did you do with the gray sweater?
So after the sampling was done, repackaged it, sealed it in its original packaging.
And did you transfer it to anyone within your division or unit?
Yes,
And who was that?
so it was transferred to Evans Custodian Ivy Lee, October 28th, 2015.
back in the other package that it came in. Take that up a little bit. Now, the next. The next exhibit would be State's Exhibit 296 for identification, if you could. Okay, is this? Yeah, 296. Go ahead and remove the contents from the area. Well, first of all, do you recognize the package? That's State's Exhibit 296, is it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what is it that you recognize about that package?
So I have a label with the HPD report number, the unique identifier, my initials, and the date.
Was that package sealed when you first received it back on May 7th, 2014?
Yes, it was.
And what did you do with it upon receiving that?
Would you like me to pick up?
Yes, please. What a pair of scissors, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the bra was screened, I believe I took 3 samples. Yes, 3 samples were taken, so,
You testified earlier that you took 2 samples, or 1 sample each of the interior of both cups, is that correct?
yes. So, 1 sample was taken from the interior right breast cup, and another sample was taken from the interior left breast cup. The item was swabbed, and then I took each of those samples through lead testing.
And then you testified that you also took, was it a vacuum sample or a strap area?
Yes. So,
Your Honor, that was state's testimony. There's more than just the strap.
I'll sustain the objection. You may rephrase.
So when you took a vacuum sample, which areas did you take that?
so the sampling was taken from both of the breast cups.
Okay, and I'm
The
just
back,
referring to the
sorry.
vacuum sample.
Yes. So both of the breast cups, the back strap, as well as a shoulder strap.
And when, prior to taking the samples, was it wrapped in that, I guess, the brown paper that it's in right now?
Yes, it was.
And in that sealed bag you testified to earlier?
Yes.
Now, after you were able to retrieve samples from the areas you just described, what did you do with the black brown?
So the 2 samples that were swabbed, the interior left, right breast cup, those samples were taken through blood testing. The sample that I vacuumed, which was the breast cups, the back straps, and the shoulder straps, that was just taken straight to DNA. I should mention also the other swab samples were taken through DNA as well.
Now, the condition that you see the bra, the back bra in, was it in that similar condition when you first received it on May 7th, 2014?
As far as I can recollect, it does look the same.
And then after you finished taking the samples, what did you do with the transferred to you?
So it was transferred to evidence custodian IDV.
And was that on the same date as the other item you just listed?
Yes, October 28, 2015.
Can you go ahead and repackage that, please? And then next, I'm going to show you where you're packaging that. State's Exhibit 324. And you testified earlier that you did receive, as a reference sample, buccal swabs from, that was purportedly taken from a Capobianco, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, if you can go ahead and, I think, I'll give you a pair of scissors. That's already open, okay. Is that the original packaging that you would have received with respect to that particular item?
Yes, it is.
And when did you receive that packaging that's in State's Exhibit 324?
So this was received from evidence custodian IDV on March 16, 2015.
Okay, and that was transferred directly to you?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And was it sealed when you received it from IVV on March 16, 2015?
Yes, it was.
And upon receipt, what did you do?
So a sample was taken from, I believe there was 2 swabs. So a sample was taken from a portion was taken from each of the swabs, and that was taken for DNA testing.
Right. And are those the 2 original packaging? You're holding up a manila envelope as well as a white packaging. Is that an envelope as well?
Yes.
Are those the 2 original packaging that when you received it
Yes.
back in March of 2014?
This is the packaging I received.
Were they both sealed when you received it in that manner?
Yes.
And when you were able to take samples from the buccal swabs therein, what did you do with the buccal swabs after that?
So after the sampling was done, it was replaced back in its original packaging and sealed.
Okay. Now, I'm going to, just for the chain of custody, can you go ahead and look into the white packaging using a pair of scissors? Okay, now, is that a card envelope or,
Yes.
okay, is that the original card envelope that it came in?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and how do you recognize that?
I have my control sticker on it, and that's the report number, the unique identifier, and the date and my initials.
And did that appear to have been tampered or altered in any way when you received it?
No, the seals were intact.
And then after you got the sample, what did you do with
So
State's Exhibit 324?
so after the samples were taken, the item was replaced back in all of its packaging and sealed.
And did you transfer that to anyone?
Yes, I did.
To who did you transfer to?
I transferred this item to Criminalist Kaleo Kulupio Kalani.
this is after you had already taken the sample.
Correct.
Was it sealed when you had transferred it to criminalist Kaleo Okalani? I'm not Kaleo Kaluhi Okalani?
Kaleo Kuluhio Kalani, yes, it was sealed.
And if you can go ahead and put that away too. Okay, one last item. I'm showing you what has been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 286. And if you can remove the package within that package. Okay, is that the original, with respect to State's Exhibit 286, is that the original packaging that it came in?
Yes, it is.
And how can you tell that?
I have my control sticker label on here with the report number, issue report number, unique identifier, the date, and my initials.
And Ms. Kashimono, when did you receive that particular item?
So this item was received July 7th, 2015, from evidence custodian IDB.
And that was a direct transfer to you?
Yes, it was.
And was that packaging sealed, that original packaging sealed when you received that from custodian Ivy Lee?
Yes, it was.
And what did you do upon receipt of that?
So, if I didn't test it right away, it would have been placed in our evidence vault within the microbiology laboratory. When I was ready to do the testing, the item would have been removed from the vault, and I would have began the documentation, photographing and written documentation, and then the screening of the item.
No objection regarding what she was foundation.
You know, she's explaining the process that she would do when she removes the item from the vault if she's not testing it immediately.
Why don't we just get a little bit of clarification there? I'll sustain the objection, just supplement the foundation.
Move to strike.
Are you able to tell us?
I'll hold off to the motion to strike depending on what she says.
Thank you. Are you able to tell us when you were able to take samples from this particular item?
So, after the item is removed from the evidence vault, so it gets placed in there, and I'm ready to do the screening, I will take out the item of evidence, begin the documentation procedure, which includes written documentation and photographs. Then I begin the screening process.
Okay, is that what you did with this particular
Yes,
item?
it is.
So when you removed that from the evidence vault, was it still sealed in the way you described earlier?
Yes.
Meeting.
You know, that's a foundational question.
Overall, the foundational.
Thank you.
Yeah, and based on the response, I'll deny the motion to strike.
Thank you. And in this particular instance, did you break the seal and remove the content that was within that packaging?
So I didn't have to technically break the seal. I was able to access the evidence to the site.
And Okay, you testified earlier that you were able to take samples off a pair of blue jeans, DK and Y brand. Is that the pair of jeans that you were able to take the sample off, or samples from?
Yes, it is.
Does it look to be in substantially the same condition as when you were able to take the samples from that pair of jeans?
As I recall, it does appear to be substantially the same.
Okay. And you testified earlier that you took cutting samples as well as swab samples, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show us where you took the cutting samples from that pair of jeans?
Do you have something to place it on? Or?
I can get another bag.
So as far as the cuttings, first, okay, so I took a swabbing and then subsequently a cutting in this area here, in this thing.
Okay, and you're pointing to an area that's adjacent to a small white sticker that's on the jeans?
Yes, so this is a control sticker that I placed to indicate the area that I sampled. The way I described it on my report, the exterior front right leg.
And is that the exterior front right leg where you took the cutting sample?
Yes, it is.
All right. And is the other cutting sample shown?
So the other swabbing and cutting sample that I took is, on my report, I describe it as the exterior back left leg. So swabbing and then a cutting was taken from this thing here. And there's a sticker adjacent indicating the sampling.
And is that the exterior back, back left leg towards the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and put that away first. Thank you. Ms. Kashimoto, after you took those samples, what did you do with this pair of blue jeans?
So after the samples were taken, the item was replaced in its original packaging and sealed.
And did you yourself seal it?
Yes, I did.
And did you transfer that to anyone?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell us who you transferred it to and when?
So the item was transferred to Evidence Custodian IDD on October 28, 2015.
And if you can put that in its the patch that it was in. I have one last item. This isn't the last one. You testified earlier that you did conduct DNA testing on some swabs from markings on jeans. You recall testifying to that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm showing you what has been marked as States Exhibit 323 for identification. If you can take a look at that, please. With respect to States Exhibit 323, is that the original packaging that you see there?
Yes, it is.
And can you tell us how you know that?
So I have a control sticker on it that has the HPD report number, unique identifier, the date, and my initials.
And was it sealed when you received it?
Yes, it was.
And when did you receive that item?
So this item was received from evidence custodian Ivy Lee, July 7th, 2015.
And do you recommend it?
Yes.
And what is it?
So I should have said items. So there's 3 items contained within this package. There's swabs. And there's an indication written on, I'm sorry, there's 4 swabs. Apologize. There's an indication written on the packaging of where the items were recovered from.
Now, these are swabs you testified earlier that you did not take these swabbings. These swabbings were sent to you, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you conduct, I think you testified that you did conduct DNA testing on these swabbings, is that correct?
Yes, I did conduct DNA testing.
And after you conducted testing on those swabbings, what did you do with them?
So the items were sealed, placed back in the original packaging, sealed.
And I'm not sure if I asked you this, when did you receive those swabs?
So the swabs were received from evidence custodian Ivy Lee, July 7th, 2015.
And then in your report that you prepared, what did you refer to these swabbings as?
So in the report, there's one referred to as swab marked jeans, RT leg outside. Another one is referred to as swab marked jeans, left leg interior surface near cup. Another swab was marked jeans, R leg front below knee. And the last swab was indicated that it was collected from the jeans waistband.
And after you finished conducting the testing on those swabs, what did you do with it?
So ultimately the evidence was then transferred.
Okay, did you transfer the evidence?
Yes.
And to who and when?
Evidence custodian Ivy Lee, October 28, 2015.
Do you have any- Okay, if you could take a seat. Now, I got one last chain for you to take a look at. You know, may I approach it, State's Exhibit 424? Thank you. Now, you testified earlier that you did testified earlier that there were 2 swabs from a mace pepper spray canister that you were able to do a DNA testing on, is that correct?
I believe we talked about it. Sorry, I don't recall specifically who spoke about this one.
Okay, with respect to State's Exhibit, is that 424, do you have there?
Yes,
Okay, with respect to State's Exhibit 424, is that the original packaging that came?
yes it is.
And again, how do you recognize that?
So it has my control sticker with the HPD report number, unique identifier, my initials, and the date.
And upon, when did you receive that particular item?
So this item was received July 7th, 2015 from evidence custodian Ivy Lee.
And what did you do with that particular item?
So the item would have been sampled and taken through DNA testing.
Okay. With the, did you take the swabs from that item, or the swabs are routed to you?
I did not take the swabs from the item, so I just received the swabs only.
Right. And did you, I think you just testified that you were able to conduct a DNA test on that, did you?
Yes, so DNA testing was performed on this item.
And prior to conducting the test on the item, was that package sealed
Yes, it
and
was.
unopened?
Yes, it was sealed.
And with respect to the packaging that the two swabs came in, was that sealed as well?
Yes, it was.
And how do you know that?
So I can see that the evidence tape is present here. And my tape is actually going over it. So that seal was there.
And after you're done, I guess sampling or taking samples from these swabs, that's in State's Exhibit 424, what did you do with it?
So the item was repackaged and sealed.
And did you transfer it to anyone?
Yeah, so ultimately the item was transferred to evidence custodian Ivy Lee on October 28, 2015.
I'm sorry, I keep telling you last item, and there's more items. This is the last item first. I'm going to show you what. Is marked as State's Exhibit 292. Your Honor, maybe Ms. Kashi will step down
Yes.
the motion table. And with your pair of gloves, first of all, do you recognize the box that is before you?
Yes.
And what is it about this box that you recognize?
So I have a control sticker on the box that has the HPD case number, the unique identifier, a date, and my initials.
And when did you receive that particular item?
So this item was received from evidence custodian Ivy Lee, November 3rd, 2015.
Was the box sealed and enclosed when you received it?
Yes, it was.
Were any of the seals broken?
I believe there might have been an issue with one of the seals, but for the entirety of the seals, the other seals, it remained intact. So there was no indication of tampering or loss.
And were you able to, I guess, retrieve or remove the item from that packaging or box?
Yes.
And you testified earlier that there are several areas within or upon the green blanket that you took samples from. Is that correct?
Yes.
And could you please remove the green blanket from the box and show us the areas that you would have? I can take this.
want me to try to find all?
If you, well, let me talk about that for a bit. Were all of the stains that you tested, the 8 stains that you tested, were they all cutting
Yes,
samples?
yes, they were cuttings.
So you didn't swab or vacuum any of them?
No, just cuttings.
And when you, and I realize I didn't have you testify about the green blanket yet. When you tested the stain, or before you tested the stains, did you do the blood test for those stains?
Yeah, so the only test that was performed on this item, there was 8 different samples taken, and those were tested for blood testing.
Okay, and these are the blood testing that you described earlier?
Yeah, so we took it through 2 types of blood testing. So for all 8 of the samples, no blood was detected, so there was no DNA testing done. But here's another example of one of the cuttings. So this one's labeled Q6. I didn't mark this, I only took the cutting.
Now, you testified earlier that if a clothing item were in a river, that could cause a blood test not to, I guess, show the presence of blood. Is that correct?
And we don't object, I think that misstates the testimony. And I asked
The
if it's
objection is
cumulative.
sustained.
Were there, for all 8 cutting stains or samples that you took from this green blanket, was blood detected on any one of those stains?
No blood was detected on any of the samples.
And you've already testified to the reasons why blood would not be detected, so I'm not going to go through that again. But because blood was not detected, did you conduct any DNA testing on any of those cuttings?
No, there was no further testing done on these samples.
Okay, you can go ahead and take that away. Now, after you had done the samples, the cutting samples on the green blanket, what did you do to the green blanket?
So it was repackaged and sealed in the original packaging.
And did you transfer it to anyone?
So it would have been transferred to evidence custodian Ivy Lee.
Okay. And do you have a date for that? I think
You have to
the,
refer to the chain of custody.
I think you might have it up there for you. It's on exhibit 292.
No?
Okay. I think you might have.
It was there. Maybe it's inside.
That's fine, Judge, we can't find it.
Tom,
You stipulate to it. Just finish up.
She has to use it to refresh her memory, so I just do that.
Can you just tell us when you transferred, who you transferred it to?
Okay, so the item was transferred to evidence custodian Ivy Lee. And this was January 14th, 2016.
Yeah, I think this would be a good time to do it.
All right. We, ladies and gentlemen, we'll adjourn for the day, and thank you so much for your service today. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please keep in mind all the cautionary instructions that remain in effect. Have a nice evening. Thank you.